is. Oh, let's try this again. There we go.
Howdy.
It's like that was the quickest join that I've ever had on these things. No offense to any of my other previous guests, my illustrious guests before. Some of them, it's like 5 minutes in, I'm like, guys, can we join? Can we do this thing?
No, man, I'm ready. Like, I shaved for you and everything. So,
Well, that was, dude, oh my God, like great minds. Like 10 minutes ago, I was like, yeah, how do you react to all these people complaining about having to cut their own hair?
4 days into this, my wife asked me to shave her head. So,
Oh my God.
it's a longer, like, lifelong ambition of hers that's been deferred for many years. But if you ever get to meet her, she can tell that story better than me.
Now it's going to be the time for her to do that. There's been some comedians and stuff talked about like shaving their head, shaving their beard. Hi.
Hi.
Jody, Emily.
I've heard lots about you. Hi.
Oh God, here we go. I apologize.
Is
I'm the reason why your husband ate an egregious amount of food in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Yes, he still talks about it.
At like 11 o'clock at night. That was the funniest part.
Yeah,
That was good.
It's very, very unlike him, and so thank you for that.
You are welcome. I think. Yeah, there's a lot of comedians talking about like shaving their beards and shaving their heads. So it's like, no one will see me for a month. What does it matter?
See, for us now, this is a resume skill, right? This is a quarantine resume skill. And as of this summer, I think I'll have been doing this for like 20 years. So yeah, I'm a pro. It's beyond pro.
Although I will say I upgraded from the clippers to actual shaving about 4 years ago.
Now that's I haven't done that yet.
It's funny because I was talking about that like about an hour ago to my friend Hannah up at Snakes and Aces in Cleveland, because her husband or her boyfriend is doing that where he's finally started razor shaving his head. She's like, he has to do it every 3 days. I was like, give it a year, he'll do it every 2 days.
Wow.
So that's my advice. If you start doing that, you have to keep doing it because it's like 2 days. This is 20 minutes in. I did this 20 minutes ago.
Yikes. Yeah, I'm still I'm at a week with clippers that are so old that they sound like a Star Destroyer, and like I'm hanging in there. So
yeah. Oh my God. Well, that's been shaving tips from Keir and Jody.
Yes, your middle-aged white dude shaving tips.
That needs to be a T-shirt, just a bald head, so just a half circle. Shaving tips with Keir and Jody, coming to you in the fall on Fox. Okay, up here at the beginning, how about you talk a little bit about what you do?
Okay, I am a designer. For the last 3 years, I've co-run my own company, Tight Ship, for event branding. I run it with fellow AIGA ex-president Julia Savin in New Orleans, I should say. And before that, I worked for agencies for about 13 or 14 years. 9 here in Ventura, where I'm based. Ventura is about halfway between Santa Barbara and LA.
Okay.
And 4 years for a Santa Barbara-based agency, which coincided with my presidency of the AIGA Santa Barbara chapter.
Okay.
Okay. And then on the side, I pretend to be a musician, and I make all kinds of maps just because I'm a map nerd, and I've always been a map nerd. And that's kind of my latest thing that I jumped into.
And I don't know why it's taken me this long to think about this. I was in St. Augustine visiting friends, St. Augustine, Florida. There is a map shop there that the dude has hand-drawn maps from like the 1800s and stuff.
Ooh.
But
yeah. Oh, sure. A friend of mine just last night sent me this auction site that's auctioning off all these old maps, and they're like at least $500 to start with, and they're all, the old, like Belgium drawn in the shape of a lion or something like that, and all the fancy, here be dragons stuff on it. There was I don't know, this maybe like a decade or so now, there was a lady, boomer age lady around here in Santa Paula on her own little farm who just collected all these maps. And she needed a website made. And so I tried to do that for her, and didn't end up so well. But that's mostly just because I'm a bad website designer. So,
look at that, falling on the sword for the client.
I did my time writing code. I don't want to do it again. It's no fun.
That's what excited me about WordPress introducing Gutenberg. I was like, finally, I can get it 90% of the way. Mm-hmm. And then any like hard coding stuff, I've got friends, I'm like, can I buy you a bottle of nice bourbon and you just help me figure out how to make 3 blocks into 3 columns, because I can't figure that out. And they're like, oh yeah, no problem. I'm going to grab something real quick to show you.
Okay.
So there was a great used bookstore here in town, and they had these geology books, mm-hmm. but they are, if I can get it out, all they are geology maps.
Oh my goodness.
And this was like $20. And I was like, I don't even know what I'm going to do with this, but for $20, I'm going to buy this.
Yes.
Because this is cool. It's like TVA. Do you know much about TVA?
Yeah. The old, like the Depression era, the Valley Authority, right?
Yeah. TVA type maps, produced maps. Ooh. Groundwater Resources of East Tennessee, 1956.
That is, I would buy that for $20.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it was insane. I was like, this is, and then she ended up putting out like 4 more. I was like, 4 more on the shelves. I was like, I want to buy all of these. They're just so cool. Okay, we'll get into, with one of your businesses being mainly event-based, how has that been? Like
it's slow to a crawl. I mean, we were honestly struggling in August or September of last year anyway. That was the last kind of big windfall that we had when we finished a big all year-long project, and then we kind of ran on those fumes until January-ish. But yeah, it's crawled to a halt. We haven't had any new clients at all. And luckily for us, we're a real bare bones organization anyway. We're virtual, right? I mean, I'm in California, Julia's in Louisiana. There's no overhead. There's no any of that. But I've also been very lucky in that my wife is a teacher. Teachers are still working their asses off right now, as you may have noticed. She was just doing an hour session with her students. She teaches 8th grade science. She does those every Monday and Wednesday. So until the California governor's new budget cuts go into effect, which I don't know when that will be, we're kind of okay. I'm a kept man, Jody. I'm a modern day Thoreau.
Teach me your ways.
Meet the right person 22 years ago.
I'm out. That's. Have any of your clients started talking about pre-planning for like 2021 or?
Yes, but like one of our anchor clients, and all that I can say about this is that they are a nationally known organization. We were cut off maybe last fall because they were having some budget issues. And our contact there got a hold of me in March and said, well, we're still going to need this work that we asked you guys to do. We don't know when that will happen, but so far that's been the only one.
Okay.
I took it personally a little bit in last fall, just because all throughout maybe Q2, 3, and 4 of 2019, I struck out left and right with new business. Whether that was because we didn't work for whatever client for whatever reason, like legit reason, like, okay, that's not in our budget, or we're looking for somebody local, to other, silly ones that we knew we were just being blown off. For whatever reason, it didn't take. And so we've been used to just kind of like, all right, well, let's kind of just do what we want to do. And so I won't speak for her too much, but my partner Julia has been working with another. I don't know how to describe this. It's Intelligent Archives. It's a group that was put together with the assets being this massive treasure trove of Times-Picayune papers from like 1880 something to 1930 something. Yeah, they're looking for ways to work with it as archives, and then as something new. And so she's their chief design officer. And we were going to work on something related to that. It's just been very difficult to get it going because of all of this, right?
Yeah.
And then I fell into doing more. I would jump from hobby to hobby to hobby. Today's maps, tomorrow's music.
I saw the thing you posted that was the type that kind of zoomed in with the music behind it.
Yeah. That's new song out today on Bandcamp. Seriously.
Visit my SoundCloud.
Yes. Oh, I gotta put it on SoundCloud. That reminds me.
Yeah. Bandcamp, man.
Bandcamp is the best. They're the best.
And they keep waiving their fees throughout this.
They do.
It's crazy.
They do. I almost feel like a real musician, even though I've never been a real musician, and real musicians would just kind of laugh at my shit. But
you can't see me put my hands on my hips and go, let me go get my banjo. I'll show you how it's done. I gotta live that stereotype.
I'm a bass player. I've heard all the jokes about musicians. So
I also have played bass before. I've got a little viola bass, which is hilarious to watch me and a viola bass.
You know what I was looking for? Like all the bands that I've been in for the past 25 years, my younger brother has been in with me, and he's the kind of person that he was our singer and guitar player. He's the kind of person that is really into instruments, whereas like I have terabyte drives full of all the recordings that we've done.
Yeah.
My brother Bryn is into instruments, and so I don't know, like after he got his teaching gig, every 6 months or so he would bring home a different acoustic instrument. So like this time it's a banjo, this time it's a ukulele, this time it's a Mexican tricordia, and like for the longest time I was like, that's awesome, but that's not my thing. Yeah. And then he says, well, maybe you should look at this instrument called a mandocello. And I'm like, it blew my mind. I mean, I knew that there was a Cheap Trick song called that, but I didn't know what it meant. So, and I was just about ready to drive down to LA to like Claremont or something, where the folk shops are. What's his face?
Ed Helms.
No, there's one in Santa Monica, but there's also one in Claremont, which is in east of Los Angeles. Ben Harper's mom runs a shop there. It's right next to this awesome record shop called Rhino Records. And I was all ready to drive down there to see what they had, and then we couldn't do any of that. So when this is all over, I'm going to get me a mandocello. I don't care how much money. So
I can't wait to see video of that. That's going to be amazing.
It will be funny and maybe amazing eventually. Yeah.
So all this, you're doing all these side projects, side gigs, so you're remaining pretty creative, but has it been a struggle at all?
No, it's actually been, and I hate to, sound la-di-da about this, but I really like having all this time to do it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm also lucky in that the way that I have been exercising for the past 7 or 8 years, which is cycling, I can bike solo and be within the shelter-in-place regulations in California, at least, because I don't bike with anybody else, and I bike in relatively isolated places. So between that for sunshine and sweat, and then all these other, 2 or 3 hobbies that I haven't really been able to dive into in the past 3 years because of running my own business. I mentally feel fine. I don't feel like I got rid of that pressure of you need to be productive, man.
Right.
I mean, I am productive, but not in things that will, I don't know, affect my bank balance, but things that are good for my mental health, things that are good for my livelihood, and I'm trying to pretend that matters in many ways. And, I mean, it matters to me, right?
It does.
So for my friends and family, if it's exciting for me, it's not going to be bullshit for them. And everybody has humored me, and that's been really cool and validating. So hopefully I'll be able to do that for the rest of this time, for however long that is.
But so all of these passion projects, you haven't kind of deep dove and thought about ways to generate alternative income or passive income long term?
Well, Keirtography, the map design one, is I would like to do that full time at some point. My professional goal would be to create map illustrations full time. I've already done that for several projects through Tight Ship, like doing event maps, or I got to do I redesigned the entire campus maps for Santa Barbara City College, which was great. That was a lot of fun. Cool. But the major map work that I've been doing is mostly just fun art type stuff, because I'm not a cartographer, like a capital C cartographer. I don't work with ArcGIS or Esri or any of that really awesome software that I have no idea how to use. So I probably won't be doing any kind of, New York Times graphic map sort of thing. There are lots of brilliant people who do that stuff already, and they're great at it. So for me, I guess I'd end up more like an illustrator if it works. And illustrators are at the absolute bottom of the totem pole, even among creative professionals, as far as how their work is commoditized and devalued and all that other stuff. So
and there's so many of them trying to set yourself apart from others. Right. You don't have such a long lead time. Like somebody like Draplin has such a long lead time that it's almost like momentum. God love him, and I love him, and I'll hug him, and I'll kiss him on top of his head every time I see him. But he has so much momentum that he is already on that train.
Right. And it, like name recognition and stuff too. And so like, I can't say I'm Aaron Draplin, but then he can't say he's Keir DuBois. So hopefully that'll work for me at some point.
Yeah, that's something I've been working on for the last year or so, because I wanted the illustration to be more. But the problem I'm seeing is everybody who's succeeding in illustration really focuses down on one style. And I think I've been doing this so long, I can do about anything. And anything that's on the edges that I can't do, I know people who can.
Right.
And I was like, that's a hard thing to communicate to people. Because they want to see repetitiveness.
Well, they also want to kind of pigeonhole you in what you do. Like the first agency that I worked at here in Ventura was known as a print design shop. Print layout, our major clients, anchor clients were magazines. So I got a great crash course in print layout. Yeah. But then at the time I was also a web developer. And so the woman who owned the business was having a hell of a time getting people to realize, no, we can do web development too. And we're digital this and digital that. But she'd had such a great track record for 25 years at that point of print design. That's what people thought that she did. Yeah. And so, I mean, you see that in I don't know, people want to people want to know that you do one thing. So like, you know,
Right.
Prince only did Purple Rain, right?
Yeah.
Springsteen only did Born in the USA. So I'm okay if people know that all that Keir does is maps. You know, that's my gimmick.
Yeah.
That's my, like, I thought I was the only person who could really do, you know, a hand-drawn map of the United States looking all cool. And then I found out that Al Franken did it, but you know, look what happened to him. So that might not be the way to go. But yeah, so I'm happy to be known. Like if I have to have one thing, Keir equals maps, then that's fine. It's just that there are a lot of other people who are map nerds out there, and some 9-year-old on Letterman will probably eat my lunch, right? But I'm content with that.
Right.
So now all I need to do is just hustle it and get some clients. But like, I'm not so good at the hustle either. Like I don't know, even after 3.5 years almost of doing this. So and you've been doing
August will be
freelance.
4 years of Feral Giant. But overall, I think this October will be 27 years of design. Which is kind of, it kind of hurts my brain. What's funny to me is like the current president of AIG in Knoxville, God love her, Paloma, she has been alive 1 year less than I've been doing design. And that just turns into the meme of the it's like, oh my God.
No, well, that's like I was see, for me, I think in July it will be 16 years of professional design. But I mean, that's just, I'd already tried and failed at a couple different careers before that. I'll be 44 in the fall. So, you know, I was already on, this is my second career. It just happened to be the actual career. But I know what you mean. Like I was, where was I? Oh, I was in a coffee shop last fall or something like that, and I got into a conversation with one of the baristas who was an English major, and I was an English major, and this person was like, I don't know what I can do with this. I might change it. It's not something that strikes me as useful. And I'm like, well, I was an English major, and I ended up here doing, you know, and at the time, you know, I was actually pulling in clients and was sort of successful. So, and that was one of the things that I really like doing is talking with soon to be or just graduated students that want to go into any kind of professional creativity, and to just I've noticed that, I don't know if you all noticed in your portfolio reviews, if you did them for Knoxville, when we did them in Santa Barbara, the students would always have this sort of like almost apologetic, I want to go into design, or I want to go into creativity. I'm a creative person, but I don't know what that involves.
It's weird down here because like where I went to was a community college. It was a technical college. So a lot of the kids that went there, just like me, kind of grew up poor. Like I grew up extremely poor. And a lot of the kids who went to UT were wealthy, were well off. So like the portfolio review at Pellissippi will always be like working class. At the community college will always be older people or working class designers.
Right.
Whereas UT, I went and did the portfolio review there, and there was one kid I almost just put my hand on his shoulder. It's like, kid, you just need to be an artist. You're not a designer. You just need to be an artist, because that's the track you're on. He's like, I really enjoyed doing this project where I put letter forms on telephone poles that made no sense, that made people stop. I was like, dude, that's not design, that's art. Like, or that's an album cover.
Right.
Like that's.
But if like, I would be the same thing if I talked to a kid from Oxnard here who's gone to the SID school, or a kid from Santa Maria who is an illustrator. Those were the best portfolio sessions that we had, is when we would go to the community colleges or the technical schools. And there was one year where we did that, where we didn't make them come to us. Like we drove all over the place, over 3 counties to go see these kids. And some of them weren't kids, some of them were on their second or third career. And so I tried to be like empathetic for them too, because I've been there. But yeah, some of these kids would definitely need to be artists. Like,
Yeah.
they're going to do this stuff anyway.
Yeah.
So one of them had asked me, well, I know I want to do this, but I know it's not going to pay. So I'm into design so I can, you know, have a cushion so that I can go do art on my free time. And
Yeah.
maybe eventually I'll get to be an artist. And it's funny to think about that. Like, that's pretty much what I did for my entire design career. Is like, I found something creative to do that was kind of, you know, print layout is print layout. Yeah. But it was, you know, kind of shoveling it so I could be in bands, or so I could, you know, do other weird art on the side.
Yeah, it was wild because I noticed a lot of the other reviewers were asking them like, well, what made you think of this or this color and stuff? And a lot of my question for them was like, what are you passionate about?
Right.
Like,
yeah.
What project in here did you love doing? And one of the kids developed an app. And I was like, then that's what you need to do. Mm-hmm. You love doing that? You want to do that? That's what you need to do.
Yeah.
I was like, I get you're showing me a website you did or a rebrand, but the rebrand looks I just told the kids, it's like, the rebrand is half-assed. Mm-hmm. I was like, the website is fine, but it's, you know, it looks like a template. Mm-hmm. I was like, but the app, you put sweat equity in that. That's what you need to work on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
nobody has ever, like, the vibe that I got when I asked these kids, or I shouldn't say kids, when I asked the emerging designers these questions, was like, what do you want to do? What are your goals? And they'd either never thought about it, or nobody had asked them that. And they were just, they'd love to talk about it. Yeah. But then there were also students who were great creatively, who just, like, it would erupt out of them, but they couldn't talk about it or present it or defend it. They weren't communicators. Right. The only way that they communicated was visually. And so for them, I would try and focus on, okay, well, talk about maybe why you did what you did, or how this figures into what you want to do.
Right.
You know, it's okay to talk about your work. It doesn't make you self-centered or, you know, an egomaniac or anything. To just, if you know why you made the decisions that you made, the creative decisions that you made, that's a story right there. And your portfolio is just one story. It's like, I would talk about, like, I love talking to this age kids. Like, every teacher I know, my whole family are teachers, but each of them all have a certain wheelhouse. Like, my wife teaches 8th grade. She would never teach elementary school. My brother teaches high school. He would never in his life teach middle school. My mom was an elementary school aide. And, like, so then I've discovered that my wheelhouse was college graduates or soon to be graduates.
Yeah.
And I don't know, there's got to be some kind of psychological reason in there, because I had no idea what I wanted to do when I was 22.
I'll give you that, because, like, between ages, this is funny as hell though, between ages 17 and 25, I got offered 6 different jobs teaching high school print shop around here.
Really?
And I said to every one of them, I haven't started, you know, I still need more knowledge before I do this. And one of them that I could be blunt with, I was like, I will put one of those kids through a wall. I was like, because my problem with those high school kids is a lot of them don't want to be in there. They're filling out a credit. Whereas I was like, where it come to college, I was like, I think I can teach them because they're there for a purpose. Like, they're actually want to do it. But what I ended up doing was, the last few years, I've gone back and taught middle school and early high school kids to where they have to come to me, to my program. And all of it, none of it's on computer. It's all by hand. And a lot of them are not wealthy. And I tell them, I still go back and talk to my high school, and it's like, I came from here. You can make money in art. You're just going to have to work harder than everybody else, because your parents can't support you. Like, just being kind of frank and honest with them. Like, but yeah, that's the wealth inequality thing's a big issue, but I just keep trying to hammer those kids. It's like, don't work at a manufacturing plant because you have to. If you can hold out, if you can figure out a way, or you can do that at night while you're doing this during the day, if you really want to do this, you need to do this. Yeah.
Yeah. And and I'm glad that they had you to tell them that. Like, it's not like, from my position, it's not for me to tell a Latino kid from Oxnard what they can do as a career. You know, I mean, I grew up in suburban Orange County. It's not my place to tell them what to do. It's more like if once they decide what they want to do, I'd be like, okay, well, in my experience, this is what I did to accomplish that. It might be something different for you. And so I really tried to focus it on them and their work. Because they're like, it's my standard spiel that I give to creative students. Like, you're going to do this anyway, whether you get paid to do it or not. You're going to come home and because it's inside you and it needs to come out. You're going to do it. So you either find a way to support yourself while you're doing it on the side, or, you work really hard, like you said. And
well, that's the flip side to me is every time I've gone in and talked at my high school was 2/3 black.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was a very poor school. Cops were up there every day, guns, drugs, whatever you can imagine. And I always start my thing is like, I know what I look like, but I'm from here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one time I looked at a kid and I was like, you might not want to talk back to me because you need to remember, I'm from here. It's like, we used to go to the Kroger next door and fight in the parking lot, so we were off school grounds. I need you to remember that I still have that in here. Like that. And it's funny because a lot of the kids are like, oh, no, he may actually punch me. And I love it. Because I was like, I know I'm a big, goofy white dude, but I'm from here. And I made it. You can make it. Don't let it, essentially tell them, it's like, don't let anybody tell you can't make it because you're black or you're poor or what. I don't care.
Yeah.
If you want it hard enough, you will figure a way to make it damn work.
Yeah. But then I've also told kids or students too, I've said, if you run into a wall, if you hit a wall because of this or that other superficial crap reason, come talk to me. I'll help you get through it if you would like my help.
Yeah.
Because I just from knowledge that I have all kinds of just superficial bullshit gatekeeping behavior. It just instilled in me this just hatred of gatekeeping and exclusionism. And the whole idea of, especially in design, where you'd run across this every once in a while where people would say, well, that's not really design, or that person's not really a designer. It's like, well, of course they are. It's I don't know. It makes me incandescent with rage when people try and exclude
I keep hearing shirt idea after shirt idea from you, man. Incandescent with rage.
I just, there's no.
That's a good album title.
Well, maybe you'll be my next album title. No, that's a better punk album title. I'm not. Yeah. I couldn't do punk very convincingly. But
although that may make it even better. It's like light, your Mandicello.
Like, I came from Orange County. We were all about superficial punk crap. So I had to deal with that for a long time before I could get away from it. But yeah, that's the if I guess if I have an overriding creative drive, it's to not pull up the ladder behind me, because I'm only in this industry because other people extended that to me. And mostly, like 99% of them were women. I may or may not have good relationships with them now. Some of them are ex-employers or ex-colleagues in some other way. But the people who did this were all women. And so I'm trying to be a similar example of helping people. Like, if I cannot literally employ you, which I will never probably be able to employ someone, I'll try and find someone who will. That was my overriding philosophy until this, quarantine happened. So I might not be, just me going la-di-da-di-da, jumping from hobby to hobby. I might not be the best person to exemplify quarantine creativity.
But going back to the quarantine, like you were talking about, are you able to kind of stay positive, or do you have any moments of dread?
My only moments of dread are if I'm on Twitter too long. And
Oh God.
mostly because like it just, I'll either feel mocked or judged or just
Yeah.
in some way insecure that I just can't deal with it and I'll have to turn it off. I had to delete the app from my phone. All kinds of,
I was
quote unquote self-care like that, but it's mostly Twitter.
I'm still waiting on the angry trolls. I tweeted something last night that I was like, it's going to come. Because it was an article saying about how men don't want to wear masks because it makes them feel not cool or weak.
Right.
And so
I saw that. Yeah.
I tweeted out and I was like, I have lifted a 600-pound industrial refrigerator. Please, for the love of God, call me weak. I want to see that. And I've been going out when I go to the grocery store, I wear a mask, and it's been like less than 50%. And even like 2 weeks ago, it was like less than 20% were wearing masks.
Mm-hmm.
And I've just finally started staring at people right in the eyes. Like, you can't see, but I'm mean mugging you under here. But I'm staring them daggers into you, you asshole. Put on the mask.
And I do that when I go grocery shopping or when I'm out among people. But when I'm biking, I don't. Just because, I mean, I know that they make masks for cyclists, but the cloth masks that we have, the homemade cloth masks that we have, are impossible to breathe properly when cycling. Yeah. And so I try not to feel like a selfish jerk or that people are going to judge me about it. They probably will, but whatever. When I'm cycling, I'm by myself. That's the way that I've always done it. I'm not in a highly populated area.
And you're also outside.
I'm outside. Yeah. And so it's mostly just me thinking like, are you a bad person for not wearing a mask while you're bicycling? But I'm like, no, I'm not.
No.
So,
I go on social distance walks with friends of mine, mm-hmm. and we just stay, I walk in the road because I'm taller, and he walks up on the sidewalk so we can look over and talk. This weekend, my buddy Sam, I'm driving down to his town, and we're going to sit out in his front yard and hang out and drink beer. And I was like, no, but we'll sit 10 feet apart. I was like, we don't need masks at that point. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We're practicing safe, practice. Yeah. There's oh God, that just killed your English major. I just said, we're practicing safe practice.
The thing about being an English major and like being grammar police is that you learn to get over that the same way as a designer you learn to get over people using Comic Sans or papyrus or whatever, or if you're a cartographer you get over the Mercator projection. It's just there are reasons for those things to exist, and I respect those, but I'm never going to use them.
Oh my God!
But it's language policing and grammar policing. I don't know. I had to learn to stop that just because of being a middle-aged white guy. Like I cannot tell people how to use language. That's just not cool.
Well, and there's one friend of mine that would give me hell for ending sentences on prepositions. And I told him, I was like, dude, I don't have time and the brain power to figure out a better way to say this sentence that doesn't sound foreign in my head. Ending on a preposition sounds like how I speak. And
I can bless you with that. My English major, my English BA, and I will bless that.
Yeah.
So if somebody gives you any shit about it, just say an English major told me it's
okay. I have a check.
You do. That's the only use of it. Like that's the best use of an English major. It's not the only one. There are many, but it's the best use of an English major. It's just to shut down that kind of crap whenever.
Have you applied for any of the government loans, the unemployment, the PPP, or the EIDL?
No, I have not, because the ones that were related to payroll, we would not qualify for as a business.
From what I understand, you are.
Really?
Yeah, a friend of mine, Hasib, he's actually the one who helped prompt this idea.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I did see that your conversation with him. Yes.
Yeah, where he was talking about you have to act like you are on payroll for that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I had this talk with Hannah an hour ago about how the PPP, I'm just not comfortable because it's another loan and I don't want to take on more debt. Like
right.
Yeah.
For me, it's like, I know my business partner has applied for some of those. I'm not sure what the difference would be in Louisiana, but in my case,
Yeah.
I'm the second income in my house. Like, I've never made more money than my wife has, and she's
Yeah.
a teacher, so that tells you how much we make.
Yeah.
But it's at least in California, I feel like there are so many more people who need that money more than I do.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I don't want to take
and
it
that's
from
kind of like where I'm fortunate versus Hannah. Hannah has a shop and she has materials. Like the PPP is perfect for her. I saw she chimed in. I was like, yeah, the PPP is perfect for her. I work out of this home office.
Mhm.
Like, getting the PPP would be essentially like, I think it's so hamstrung. It's like, I don't even know what I could spend the money on without just having to hand it right back over to them.
Yeah. No, I decided not to for those reasons, and also because, like, our tax return was okay this year. Like, I overestimated stuff last year, and so
Yeah.
we got a little cushion back. And so it's those practical reasons, and then also, like, other people need that money more than I do.
Yeah.
So,
although I'm still fighting to get unemployment at this point. It's such a damn mess here in the state. And I finally heard from my cousin yesterday. He was like, oh, because I can't remember this I think this nationally, where it's, you get unemployment, but you also get an extra $600 a week. I don't know.
Sounds about right.
But everybody I know, save my cousin, who was a waiter before all this, has only gotten whatever that minimum is from the state. They've not gotten the 600.
Mm-hmm.
And it's people like I've complained on here before because two people I know have gotten paid. They had to go through their state rep to get their application pushed through.
Yeah.
Like, what the?
Yeah.
Why in the hell are we wasting our state rep's time? You know, like, how inefficient is that? But it's kind of the hand we're dealt right now.
Right. And I just, if that's why I don't know. There are, like, I'm also, like, one of my other hobbies is history, and my brother is way better at this than I am because that's his profession. He's a history teacher, and he's also a classicist. But one thing that we had been talking about was this in classical, I think it was Athens, this retreat from going from the classical age to the Hellenistic age. There was a retreat from the community into more glorifying of the individual. And we've sort of been forced to do that. I mean, this country's done that all the time for at least the last 50 years. But there's that sort of collective responsibility that is not learned or not taught anymore in certain strata of this society. And in others, it's still there. But those people don't get to make decisions for the rest of the country. And so I'm not sure where I was going with this. I promise I was not, like, just showing off my classical history stuff. No, that's still in my head. I was reading this book called 1177 BC, the end of the Bronze Age, or the collapse of civilization, or something like that. So that is still in my head at the moment. But that sort of abdication of community responsibility. Yeah, that's what I kind of see in this inability to just to even, like, we're nowhere near, the United States is nowhere near what a country like Britain is doing. Right. And they have a goofy right-wing guy in charge over there too, but then they're paying everybody's salary. Everybody, I think, something like that. Just something insane. Well, quote unquote insane. That would be great if we could do that here. We have the money. You know, we don't need to spend it on flyovers. Like, we just had a flyover here yesterday, and
the flyover thing is killing. Because I saw where somebody broke down how much that cost, like fuel and everything, and it was like, good God. Like, and it was the one in New York, the Blue Angels one, and it was like, if they had just taken that money and they could have bought X amount of ventilators.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's like, good God. Yeah.
So
anyway,
so
we'll move on to positive. So had you seen, so the homework for this episode
yes,
is the opening credits for Drive. And you can
yes,
find it on YouTube. It's just Drive opening credits scene for anybody watching at home that wants to see. So had you seen Drive before?
I had not seen Drive before, and
Okay.
and I'll tell you why. This goes back to my snobby type crap that I was talking about. This was okay. So what? It came out about 10 years ago, right? Ish.
2011. Yeah.
11.
So,
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was still, I was still probably in the crest of my type snob wave.
Yeah.
So all the promotional material had Mistral as the main typeface, which is like, but see, and that's only my opinion. And so I totally was like, all right, I don't need to see this. And it was a totally superficial thing to judge it about, but it looked, that type reads, as to me, it reads as not only just tasteless but dated. I mean, that's only my opinion.
Yeah.
It's certainly useful for what it needs to. Like in 1991, it was great, you know.
Yeah.
Or if you're a Duran Duran tribute band, use it. Nothing against Duran Duran, they're awesome, or tribute bands, but. But so I admit that, like, I did not see the movie at the time because of that superficial typography choice. And
so I take it you're not a big fan of James White of Signal Noise.
I'm not familiar with that.
He's a designer that all of his style, his shtick is all like driven by Drive.
Oh, well, I mean, I'm not going to judge the work based on, like, you know, silly superficial stuff. It's like, it's,
I don't know. It sounds like you did.
Well, I judged the typeface.
Okay. Okay.
Which is also bullshit, right? There's no reason for me to believe these things about that typeface. But I know why I believe that about this typeface, because when it was released, and this is one of the, like, major pieces of wisdom that I learned from my first design employer, is whatever you as a person think is bad taste is what was in style when you learned about the concept of taste. So for me, that was, I don't know, 13, 14 years old, late 80s, early 90s. So all the, you know, all the teal and Southwest chic and just world music stuff that at the time just I hated because it was everything adult and bad and dumb. And now that I'm a bad, dumb adult, I can understand why people hate the things that I like. I mean, I'm a U2 fan, man. I'm used to being shat on. So so I realize that my opinion and my just the reason that I don't like these things is bullshit. But I did see the opening sequence that you showed me, and so I thought, okay, first Jody's trying to bait me with this typeface, and then second, there's maps in it. Okay, that washes. So, but what did you need me to take away from that, or what would you like me to observe?
I can't remember if I said this in the message, but it was, I just have a playlist called Favorites, and it's like motivational talks or scenes from movies or just stuff I find very creative or interesting. And I just thought, especially it carries over in that film. It's almost like they took a script and took 90% of his dialogue and just removed it. So So it's like there's something special about the pacing, the color, like the weird, like, slow pans where they didn't need. It was the patience, the opening credits of that, especially at the time, because, you know, it's like when Transformers and shit was big and making billions of dollars. Yeah. And you've got this, it is the most patient, and it's just that's how it opens, with like a 12-minute long scene that's just tense as can be, that's just quiet. Like, and that music that they picked, I almost think it's one of those things where he picked the song before he picked how he was going to shoot it. Because the song is like 12 minutes long, to where it just fit perfectly. Like, but I think it's like one of the most creative openings of a film. that harkens back to like, have you ever seen Once Upon a Time in the West?
Mhm.
So it's like that. So
Yeah.
the big selling point on that, when my dad made me watch it, was he's like, these three guys in that opening are three of the biggest bad guys in Westerns ever. Jack Elam, like all the three guys.
Mhm.
And he was like, and they kill him 10 minutes into the film. He was like, what the hell? He was like, when I saw that in the theater, it blew my damn mind. Because I'd grown up watching. He's like, same thing. I think the actual opening scene was Henry Fonda killing a kid. And he was like, that's Henry Fonda. That's Tom Joad, man. That's juror number 8 or 7, whichever he's from 12 Angry Men. And he was like, to see him kill and then see the three biggest bad guys, he was like, I'm in. He's like, I don't care what the rest of the film is. That first 12. So I think that's what it is for Drive. I think it's that opening is so creative and interesting and unique that it just, I saw it in the theater and I was like, this film looks kind of interesting. I don't really know what's going on.
The other thing that I thought of was the Pacino De Niro movie Heat, because of the set, because of Los Angeles and the way that LA was the character in that movie, and that's the only reason that I like that movie, just because I can't deal with Pacino and De Niro in it and the way that it treats women. But
I will say I did, because I love that. I've seen that movie an insane amount of time. I saw it in the theater like 3 times, and I was like 15 when that movie came out. But Pacino said, here's how I viewed that role. He's like, I viewed that role as if that guy did a bump of coke right before the scene started. Every time I was like, that completely changes everything to me.
But like, I still can't get.
How it treats women is deplorable.
It's awful. But the reason that all that stuff is still in my head is that was, let's see, 1995. I was a freshman at UCSB, and we had me and my roommate had 4 or 5 VHS tapes in the room. We had Top Gun and the Star Wars movies and Star Trek 6 or something, and then a bootleg copy of Heat, which was like, it was the critical like I don't know, the teaser copy of it or something that had all, it was there. So, and we got it because one of the other guys in the dorm, his dad owned a bunch of theaters in Orange County, and so that's how we got it. So we watched these movies over and over and over and over again. So
but yeah, you're right. Like, I think Drive is the first film since Heat that I've seen that kind of really uses a city as a character.
Yeah, and that is catnip for me, whether where a film does that or a book, if it shows the setting, if it gives you a real feeling of being there, like say the way Cryptonomicon would do it for Manila. I've never been to Manila. I'm probably not going to go anytime soon, but Neil Stevenson has been there, and he described it very well for that. Yeah. That's the first one that came off the top of my head, but there are so many more that I care about how it describes the setting way more than any of the characters. And so, and so for that opening sequence, there was nothing that Gosling's character could say about anything that would help the scene, or that would, that wouldn't be superfluous. And so as a bass player, that's very attractive to me, just because bass playing is all about minimalism. No, seriously, if you have a bass line and you're playing, something's not working, don't play about half the notes, and then it'll be great.
That's what we're going to take away from all this, kids.
Yes. Yeah. Just what can you not do? Do less work. Do less everything.
Oh my God. So do you think you'll watch the whole film now?
Yes, and I'll admit that I spoiled myself, and I just read the Wikipedia plot of it. But the reading plots never really spoils me, because there's one thing to read about it and one thing to actually watch it. Yeah. So yeah, I probably will see it now.
I will forewarn you: the violence in it is pretty graphic. Like, there's some scenes
that was my understanding.
Like, holy shit! Like, even seeing it in the theater, I was like, good God! It's like, oh. The elevator scene is still like, but there's one scene towards the end that I will not say what happens, but something happens that I know it's coming, and I have to close my eyes because it just grosses me out so much.
Yeah.
And it's even just a quick flash and not that big, but it's just like, oh, it's almost like I can feel it.
There are like even for shows or movies that I've seen a bazillion times, if there are scenes that like make me cringe, I can't watch them. I'll just skip right over them.
Yeah, there's a movie from, I think it's like 92, 93 with Christian Slater and Kevin Bacon called Murder in the First, and Gary Oldman, where Kevin Bacon's character is in prison. Gary Oldman is the warden, and Kevin Bacon is, or Christian Slater's the lawyer trying to get him off. But there's a scene where spoiler alert, where Gary Oldman slices Kevin Bacon's, what's it called? In the back of the ankle.
Achilles tendon.
Achilles tendon. And it kind of shows. And my dad, we were watching that film, and the minute it happened, he's like, oh, shit, man. He was like, I did not need to see that. He was like, oh, God. He was like, I'm not going to walk right for like a week.
Right? I was speaking of Stevenson. There was this book that I read of his called Seven Eves where the moon blows up. And I still cannot look at the moon for a long period of time because I don't want to see it blow up. And
oh, there's a book I read in late high school, early college. It was World War II, Winds of War by Herman Woolach. And there's a scene in it that is depicting like two Nazis essentially going against a Jewish woman and her child. And I literally am reading it shaking. And then I hit a certain point and I just threw the book across the room. I was like, I want to jump in the book and start punching these guys. It's like,
yeah. That's capital A art, man. That's
well, that's a good way to end this.
Okay.
Thank you for doing this, man.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Excellent.
Take care, stay safe. Enjoy
You too.
California.
Yes. All right. Well, I should say, this was my Tennessee week. I got to speak with Taylor from Chattanooga on Wednesday.
Yeah, she jumped in here a second ago.
Yeah. I warned her about this. So I enjoy being part of Tennessee week. And whether I can come back there next or you can come out to California, we will eat bad food and enjoy it.
Oh yeah, for sure. Oh, and there she is. She's saying bye, guys.
Bye, Taylor. All right. See you later, Jody. Thank you.
Thanks.